Alright, what's going on YouTube? Donnie B all day. I'm bringing you the Buck 124, which I brought to you already. This was previously done. Now, when I first did this, I took this thing brand new, right out of the box, and I started chopping into some hardwoods and doing different things, and I had a mark right here on the edge, just a little mark. And I was so disappointed in seeing a mark that I almost gave it a semi-quasi negative feel in the review about that mark. I was kind of bent about it. During the video I said, you know, I could probably just hit this little whetstone, it'll come right out. And that's exactly what I did. It literally took about 2 shots down this whetstone to completely clear it up. Now, when I say it was a mark, you got, I do these videos and I'm picky as far as any little thing that seems not right or just, you know, not copacetic. I'm gonna call it out, and even if it's the most minor little thing, because you, if you're watching this thinking I want to buy something, you deserve to know every single little thing about the knife that I'm reviewing or that you're interested in. You deserve to know if the edge is great or if the edge is not great. This edge was great. This thing outperformed almost everything I've ever tested, and it did so with that little mark on the blade. And it was just a mark. When I used my thumbnail to try and find it, it wasn't there. There was nothing that you could feel, just something that I can see. It almost like a you know, you went from like a satin finish to a shiny finish to a satin finish to a shiny finish. You know what I mean? It was like a mark of not as shiny on the edge, and it was just so stupid, but I didn't expect to see it, and it bothered me. And there's a bug on my brim, and that was the deal. So I was negative toward that mark, even though the knife completely, and I mean completely, outperformed pretty much everything and that I've tested against it. This thing is just remarkable. It's the Buck 124. It's freaking amazing. So what I want to do is I want to revisit this thing. I did this with the SE6, where I tested the SE in the winter, and the grip didn't feel right to me, but it's because I test all my knives barehanded, because like I say, you're not always going to have a glove, and if you don't know how the knife is going to perform without a glove, then it's like I'm giving you false information, and I don't want to do that. So, and the fact that not everybody buys the same gloves, so to test this wearing a glove, it's not going to be the same thing as when you use it or you test it, or you know, you try to do different tasks with it. So I try to keep it very fair and very honest. So that's what we're going to continue to do. And so like I said, I took this to a stone. This edge is, I mean, it's flawless. I showed this thing to a bunch of tasks after I found the mark, and it absolutely killed it. I mean, it did everything right. Then that mark disappeared within seconds of me fixing it. So so what I want to do is, I got all the gardeners out, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo some tasks and show you that maybe it was because it was out of the box, it was, you know, filed so perfectly sharp, which it still is perfectly sharp. I mean, that's shave sharp right there. I don't know if you can see all those hairs on there, but this is shave sharp. Not only did I use it that first day, but I continuously use this. I use this a lot. In a lot of my videos, you'll see me testing knives, and you'll see this one on my side. I love it. It's a great knife, and I didn't give it its proper due the first time. So what I'm going to do, I'm assuming that when it was so brand new, maybe the edge was done so fine, it had some flakes left over, and that's maybe what I have no idea. But it was literally nothing worth talking about. I talked about it anyway because I had to be honest. So here it is. Let's re-go over this knife, all right? Okay, I know it's not arm hair, and I know it's not some skinny little water bottle, but we are going to take this milk jug and see if we can't go through pretty quick here. Dude, guys, I hit this thing and it stayed on there. I thought it was still connected. I figured maybe I didn't get all the way through. I hit it and it stayed. It stayed. It landed back there. It was like the tablecloth trick. You have got to be kidding me. Yeah, buddy. I think I just got you guys all wet. There we go. I hit it. It sliced. It's a freaking awesome, awesome, awesome knife. Like it was before, that part I never wavered from. This thing is fantastic. And I have to say, just like the Essie, from winter to summer, now that it's not frozen, man, this feels a lot better in the hand than it did before. So let me clean off the water off the camera and we'll keep going. All right, guys, for any of you who don't like blood and guts and gore, you might want to turn away. There's an inchworm hanging from my tree here, and I want to see, I mean, he's all over the place, flying side to side. I want to see if I can catch it. Well, I cut his head off. Hold on a second. I don't know if you can see that because there's so much glare. That inchworm is no longer moving. I buck knifed an inchworm. Sorry, buddy. Okay, guys, so here we are. Had to give a little funeral for that inchworm. So here we go with the buck. Let's take off some of these little scragglers here. And now what I want to do is just, wow, that bites. Some chop action. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This thing is like a freaking beaver. It is literally, I think a beaver was reincarnated and made into a knife, because this thing, I mean, there aren't too many knives I've ever used that whiz through wood like this buck is doing. I mean, it is just cruising through this freaking stick here. This branch, not a stick. It's not a wimpy little stick, it's a branch. So, I mean, it absolutely cruised. Now, looking at this edge, anything I should be critical over? Nope, just covered in sap. I'm telling you guys, the last time I did this, I don't know what was on the edge to begin with, but it wasn't a fault in the edge. It was a fault in the guy doing the video who told you it was a fault in the edge. I was just mistaken. This edge was perfect. I realized that after. All right, so holy mackerel. I mean, fat, skinny, long, short, they're all falling off there. They're flaking. They're so nice. This thing is just a beast. Let me try to get it up in the air a little bit. Wow, it bites in so well that it almost, you know, it makes it a little difficult because it bites in so well. If you hit it too early, and then you have to pull it out. It's just, it's that good. It's that strong. Man, I'm taking chunks. I mean, absolute chunks out of this pine here. I mean, it's just, you can see, well, maybe you can't see, I don't know, how absolutely wet that is. That is all sap. And sap is sticky, and it slows down the blade going through. And this thing, even in a sap covered log, it is just cruising through the meat of this wood. I would have no problem carving whatever I needed to carve with this piece here. Now, let's see here. I'll use the same little guy I was just using, and making kindling, making roof shingles, making whatever I need to do, you know, in a survival situation, in a hunting situation, in any situation. This thing, I'm going to clean some of this sap off of there. That's the best part about having dirt, is dirt cleans sap. It wipes it right off of there. Now I got some of the, I'll polish it later, but you can see this edge is unflawed. You know, I felt that I did it an injustice, new word, an injustice by saying even anything remotely negative about this knife, because there is nothing negative that I can say about this knife. My bad. This thing is just phenomenal. It is phenomenal. I love it. It's everything you'd want a knife to be and everything you'd expect a buck to be. But one thing you don't expect these things to be are throwers. So let's go throw it. Come on. All right, so here we are with the Buck 124, and we are going to give it a toss. A toss. And a miss. And that was definitely user error. Let's try that again. Well, the user fixed the error. Oh my gosh. Fixed the error. This thing actually flew quite nicely. Underhand. I didn't throw any power into that. It's only a 2-yard throw. But there we go. A little bit harder. It's a pretty badass piece. I mean, it's a pretty badass piece. I loved this day one, even though it came back to me, even though I thought it was bad, and I was wrong. Not bad. That was a bad word to say. I never thought it was bad, even though I thought there was a mark, and it turned out there really wasn't. That thing landed right back on my flip-flop. This is why I don't throw right-handed. There we go. It's just awesome. I undervalued it the first time, even though I gave it a good review the first time. I still feel like I undervalued it. This is one of the absolute greatest knives on the planet. If you want a hunting knife, a camping knife, a survival knife, a fighting knife, a defensive knife, a food prep knife, if you want a show knife, you know, something to put on a shelf knife, something to hang from a wall knife, just anything you want to use it for, this thing will get the job done. It is freaking awesome. I mean, I can't say enough good about it. You know, I made that clear in the first video, with the only difference being I mentioned that it had a little mar right there, and that went away really fast, and it never came back. And I use this thing a lot, guys. I mean, I use this a lot. It's still shave sharp. It's still magnificent looking. It's still tight everywhere. It's still the Buck 124. So this is my Buck Revisited. I wanted to give you a little bit more of a proper hello and goodbye. And I feel today that it showed that that mark was just a fluke, and it was nothing I could grab onto. It was no bending, no folding, no chipping, nothing like that. It was just a mark, and it's gone forever. So the Buck 124, I'm not just recommending it to you, I am telling you, buy this knife if you're a knife guy or a knife girl or a knife caterpillar. Buy this thing. It's the single, you know, greatest buck hunting knife ever made, and one of the greatest single hunting knives of any knife maker. I mean any, on the planet, in the history of knife making. This thing kicks ass. I'm Donnie B all day, and until next knife.